"Get away from my truck. You don't belong here." The shout split the desert air. Tiana's hands were still muddy from fixing the fence when the tall man in the tailored linen shirt slammed the gate shut behind her. Dust swirled around them. A horse neighed in the distance. "I said I'm working," she snapped back, breath ragged. "Working?" His accent carved the word. Australian, clipped, and disbelieving. "You nearly scratched a $250,000 vehicle." Her eyes narrowed. "You think money means you own the dirt too?" He laughed, dry, sharp. "I think people who know which end of a pen to hold should be in charge of projects like this." Tiana froze, the insult hanging between them like gun smoke. She wiped her palms on her jeans, looked him square in the eye, and said quietly, "You've just made the worst assumption of your life. Now, let me tell you how this incredible story unfolded. But before you continue, take a quiet second. Become part of this journey. Subscribe, not just to follow a channel, but to stay connected. Share your heart in the comments, and tell me where you're watching from. Because your support keeps these stories alive. Now, let's begin. The morning heat in Prescott Valley, Arizona, already shimmered off the rust-colored soil when the white SUV pulled up to the sprawling Brooks Ranch. It was harvest week, and the air smelled of alfalfa and gasoline. Tiana Brooks tugged at her gloves and tightened her braid. She'd been running the ranch since her father's stroke 3 years earlier, balancing crops, wages, and bills that barely held together. Her calloused hands told one story. The encrypted laptop hidden in her trailer told another. Across the yard, the SUV door opened. Out stepped Liam Reynolds, an Australian investor sent by his company, Rain Tech Agribusiness, to inspect potential acquisitions across the Southwest. He was 38, sharp-jawed, sunburned just enough to look adventurous, and already annoyed the moment his loafers met the dust. "Place looks rustic," he muttered to his assistant. "Let's make this quick." Tiana heard him, but kept stacking feed. She wasn't about to play tour guide for another out-of-touch foreigner with a portfolio thicker than empathy. When Liam finally approached, clipboard in hand, he didn't even remove his sunglasses. "You the help here?" She turned slowly. "I run the place." He chuckled. "Right. And I'm the Queen of England." That earned a low whistle from one of the stable hands. Tiana's jaw tightened. Liam pointed toward the solar panels glinting behind the barn. "Those your idea?" "Every watt of it," she said. He scribbled something. Interesting. Didn't think. People out here got into the tech stuff." "People out here?" she repeated, stepping closer. "You mean black women from the country?" He flinched, realizing he'd said too much, but pride kept him from backing down. "Look, I'm just saying, it's unusual." "Unusual doesn't mean impossible," she said, "but you wouldn't know much about that." The tension prickled. Somewhere, a rooster crowed, oblivious to the collision brewing between them. Later that day, Liam toured the property, questioning every decision she made. He criticized her bookkeeping, her irrigation layout, even her handwriting. "Numbers don't lie," he told her. "Neither do results," she replied. "This ranch feeds half the county." He smirked. "With all due respect, Ms. What was it again? Brooks? This place could be worth a fortune if run by someone with real business education." She looked at him, calm now. "Maybe the kind that comes from doing instead of talking." He shrugged. "You can read a balance sheet, can you?" That did it. The crew fell silent. Wind hissed through the dry grass. Tiana walked to the truck where his tablet sat open, scanning his spreadsheets in one glance. "You're double-counting depreciation," she said, without missing a beat. He blinked. "Excuse me?" "Right there." She tapped the column. "You're valuing land assets twice. Anyone with basic accounting would catch that. For the first time, Liam had no comeback. She stepped back, voice even. Next time you call someone uneducated, make sure your math checks out. He watched her walk away, dust rising behind her boots, the sun a burning coin sinking behind the ridgeline. Have you ever judged someone before knowing who they really were? Drop your honest moment in the comments. You might not be alone. Inside the trailer that night, Tiana powered up her hidden laptop. The screen glowed with lines of code and banking dashboards. Australian banks, to be exact. A notification blinked. Patent approval. EcoFlow Hydrosystems diluted. She smiled faintly. He thought she was a farmhand. He had no idea he'd just insulted the woman who owned the technology that his company was about to try to buy. 2 days later, a monsoon rolled across Prescott Valley, fat raindrops pelting the corrugated roofs, the kind of storm that turned dirt roads into rivers. Liam's flight back to Phoenix was grounded. His assistant, stuck at the hotel, called the ranch phone in a panic. Tiana answered. "You've got the Aussie still out there?" she asked, already suspecting the truth. The assistant's voice crackled through the line. "Yeah, he was supposed to meet a contractor on your property. Any chance he can wait it out somewhere dry?" Tiana sighed. "Fine. Send him to the barn." Minutes later, the door creaked open and Liam stepped in, drenched, humiliated, and suddenly human without his sunglasses. "You again," Tiana muttered, tossing him a towel. "Guess even million-dollar plans can't stop Mother Nature." He chuckled awkwardly. "You've got a point there." The storm pinned them together for hours. While rain hammered the roof, they sat across from each other, separated by hay bales and silence. Liam eventually spoke. "You were right about that spreadsheet." Tiana didn't look up. "I usually am. I shouldn't have spoken the way I did. Now you're realizing that." He hesitated, then admitted, "Back home, I deal with people who pretend to know things. It's just easier to assume the worst." "That's not an excuse," she said softly. "It's a habit." He studied her, the way she spoke, measured, sharp, deliberate, didn't fit the version of her he'd created in his head. He noticed the faint ink stains on her fingers, like someone who wrote a lot. "What do you actually do when you're not ranching?" he asked. Tiana smiled faintly. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Try me. I design systems that save water and increase yield. Small projects for now." He frowned. "Like hydroponics." "Better," she said. "Think large-scale environmental restoration, but I keep it quiet. People see what they want to see." The rain grew heavier. He leaned forward. "Then why hide it? Because when people see a black woman from a ranch talking science, they laugh before they listen." That landed like a stone between them. Liam looked down, ashamed. "Back home, we think we're more open-minded. Guess prejudice looks different depending on where you stand." For a long moment, only the rain spoke. Then Tiana's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, her expression changing. Part surprise, part worry. Liam noticed. "Bad news?" "Opportunity," she murmured. "Someone just licensed my patent overseas." He raised a brow. "You have a patent?" "Yeah, in Australia." He blinked. "Wait, what's it called?" "EcoFlow Hydrosystems." He froze. That was his company's newest acquisition target. "EcoFlow?" he said slowly. "You're joking." She looked up, suddenly wary. "You've heard of it?" He swallowed hard. "Heard of it? My company's trying to buy it." The silence that followed was thunderous. If someone insulted you before realizing you were their equal, would you forgive them? Share what you'd do in the comments below. Tiana rose, crossing her arms. So now you know. You own EcoFlow? I created it. My father built the prototype pumps. I just improved the system and made it scalable. We've been supplying test units to drought-prone areas. Liam's voice dropped. You're not just a rancher. No, she said. I'm the person your company's been trying to buy for months. He sank onto a hay bale, drenched in more than rain now, drenched in shame. I thought I was helping rural communities. Turns out I was just another arrogant suit. Tiana walked to the barn door, watching the sheets of rain ease into a drizzle. People like you could actually help if you stopped assuming you're the smartest one in the room. When she looked back, his expression had softened, vulnerability cracking through the pride. Maybe you're right, he said. Maybe I needed to be humbled out here. Arizona has a way of doing that, she replied, opening the door. Now you know what it's like to get a little dirt on your hands. He smiled faintly. Guess I deserved that. As the clouds parted and sunlight filtered through, a different kind of storm had passed, one that left them both changed, though neither would admit it yet. By the next morning, the Arizona sun burned hot again, turning the storm-soaked ranch into a shimmer of heat and steam. Liam had stayed the night in the spare bunkhouse, his phone buzzing non-stop with the corporate alerts from Sydney. He hadn't told Tiana yet, but one of those alerts contained the news he dreaded. Raintech had just finalized a hostile acquisition of EcoFlow hydro systems. He paced the porch, heart pounding. They'd done it without his knowledge, using data he'd collected from Arizona, and the name Tiana Brooks was all over the file. When he finally saw her coming down the path, her braid shining in the morning light, he felt sick. Tiana, we need to talk, he said, stepping forward. She smiled faintly. Sure. Did your company finally realize they can't buy everything? His voice faltered. Not exactly. He handed her his tablet. The email glowed between them. Acquisition completed. EcoFlow Hydro Systems now a Raintech subsidiary. Transfer of patent rights pending. Her face went still. Then the color drained away. What did you do? She whispered. I didn't know they'd... You gave them access, she cut in. You sent them my data. I thought it was just due diligence. You thought wrong. She turned away, trembling. That patent was my father's legacy. You just handed it to a company that will bury it for profit. He took a step closer. I can fix this. Fix it? She snapped, eyes blazing. You don't fix betrayal with an apology, Liam. The barn door slammed behind her as she stormed inside. He followed, guilt burning through his chest. Tiana, please listen. No, you listen. She turned, tears streaking her dust-covered cheeks. My dad built this ranch from nothing. He taught me that intelligence doesn't need a degree. I built EcoFlow because no one believed someone like me could create something that mattered. And you, her voice broke, you just proved them right. Liam's throat tightened. You have no idea how much I regret this. Then regret it somewhere else, she said quietly. Because you don't belong here. He stood there, helpless, as she tore the blueprint from the table, shoving it into a box labeled Brooks Family Projects. The faint sound of wind chimes echoed outside, a soft reminder of what had just been lost. He left the ranch that afternoon, his suitcase heavier than it should have been. As his rental car sped down the dirt road, he glanced once in the mirror. Tiana standing alone by the fence line, arms crossed, eyes hard. The guilt followed him all the way to Phoenix, then to the airport, then across the Pacific. 3 weeks later, in Sydney, Australia, Liam stood in the glass tower of Rain Tech headquarters as a press release went live. Rain Tech officially acquires EcoFlow Hydro Systems, expanding global water technology portfolio. He couldn't breathe. His boss, a sleek man in a charcoal suit, clapped him on the shoulder. "Nice work, Reynolds. That Arizona lead was gold." Liam's stomach twisted. "You're planning to shelve the project, aren't you?" The man smirked. "Of course. Why compete with our own system?" Liam walked out before he said something he couldn't take back. That night, unable to sleep, he searched online for EcoFlow Hydro Systems. A small article caught his eye. Arizona innovator speaks out after losing patent rights to foreign corporation. And there she was, Tiana Brooks, standing in front of her ranch, voice calm but defiant. "They can buy a patent," she told the reporter, "but they can't buy vision. I'll build again." He paused the video halfway, guilt pressing into his chest like a physical weight. If you betrayed someone who trusted you, would you face them or disappear? Be honest. Leave your thoughts below. Liam closed the laptop, rubbing his eyes. He knew what he had to do. He booked a ticket back to Arizona, but fate, as it often does, had other plans. When he landed in Phoenix, his phone pinged with a breaking alert. "Brooks Ranch destroyed in late-night fire, cause under investigation." His hands trembled. He raced toward Prescott Valley, heart pounding. By the time he arrived, the barn was gone. Just smoldering ash and twisted metal. Fire crews were packing up. He spotted her sitting on the fence rail, soot on her face, eyes hollow but alive. "Tiana," he said, voice cracking. She looked up at him, tired and wary. "Why are you here?" He took a breath. "Because this is my fault. All of it." For a moment, neither spoke. The air smelled of smoke and grief. Then, in a voice small but steady, she said, "If you came here to pity me, save your breath. I don't need saving." "I didn't come to save you," he said softly. "I came to stand beside you, if you'll let me." She turned away, silent, but something in her eyes flickered. Not forgiveness yet, but the first trace of understanding. The ashes behind them glowed faintly in the moonlight. And just like that, the story turned toward redemption. The ashes cooled under the pale Arizona dawn. The smell of smoke still clung to the soil, but Tiana Brooks wasn't the type to stay down. By the third day, she was back on her feet, notebook in hand, sketching blueprints over the hood of a rusted truck. When Liam arrived again, this time wearing jeans and work gloves, she didn't look up. "You don't give up easily, do you?" she said. "Not anymore," he replied. "And I'm not here for business. I'm here to help rebuild what I broke." She hesitated, eyes flicking toward him. "And why should I trust you again?" "Because I turned in my resignation," he said quietly. "Rain Tech doesn't own me. Not anymore." He pulled out a folder and set it on the table, legal documents stamped and notarized. "I had a lawyer review every clause. The patent's yours again. I used my stake to reverse the sale." Tiana blinked, unsure if she should believe him. "You gave up your job?" He nodded. "It was never worth what I took from you." For the first time in weeks, she exhaled. Not forgiveness, not yet, but the start of release. They worked side by side that day, hammering, lifting, rebuilding what the fire had stolen. Sweat replaced tears. The rhythm of effort stitched something fragile but real between them. Weeks later, a new barn stood where the ashes had been, but the story didn't end there. "Tiana," Liam said one evening, watching the orange Arizona sunset melt across the horizon. Come to Australia. She laughed. Australia? Yeah. There's a drought project in New South Wales. They're dying for a sustainable system. EcoFlow could change lives there. She hesitated. You think they'd take advice from a ranch girl from Arizona? He smiled. They'll take it from a genius. Sydney, 6 months later. A drone camera swoops across dry farmland, turning green under new irrigation lines. Workers cheer as water surges through a transparent EcoFlow pipeline, feeding thousands of acres once thought barren. Reporters swarm around a temporary stage set near the fields. A banner reads, EcoFlow Australia, powered by Brooks Innovation. Tiana stands behind the mic, wind tugging at her hair, the Australian sun glinting off her pendant, her father's old ranch key, now polished like a medal. Liam watches from the crowd, pride and humility mingling in his expression. Months ago, Tiana says, voice steady, someone told me people like me don't belong in boardrooms or laboratories. That intelligence has a look, a degree, a pedigree. But the truth is, genius doesn't care about zip codes or skin color. It only needs one thing, someone who refuses to quit when the world calls them less. The crowd erupts in applause. Cameras flash. Liam steps forward with a shy smile, and when she spots him, she laughs softly, shaking her head. After the ceremony, as they stand together overlooking the flowing canals, he says quietly, I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted to make things right. She studies him for a long moment. You didn't just make it right. You helped me make it bigger. He smiles. I guess I learned from the best. She glances at the horizon. Funny, isn't it? You came here to buy something and ended up giving everything away. He chuckles. Yeah, turns out humility's the most expensive lesson there is. The sun dips lower, painting the sky in gold and rose. Tiana looks out at the fields, eyes gleaming with quiet pride. Have you ever misjudged someone and realized too late how extraordinary they were? Tell your story below. Someone might need to hear it. As the camera pans back, a new sign comes into view. Brooks and Reynolds Foundation, Sustainable Water Initiative. A partnership born from guilt, forgiveness, and faith. Two people who found purpose on opposite sides of the world. And in the closing shot, the same Arizona key, her father's key, now hangs beside an Australian boomerang in her workshop, symbolizing two worlds connected by redemption. Thank you for staying with me until the very last moment of this story. If something in it, even a single glance, a breath, a heartbeat, reached you, then this story did what it was meant to do. Every view, every heartbeat that listens, keeps this little world of stories alive. So, before you go, take a quiet second. Become part of this journey. Subscribe, not just to follow a channel, but to stay connected to the next story waiting to speak to your heart. The next one goes even deeper. More truth, more love, more healing. And it's already waiting for you. Your next story begins right here.